and welcome to Sepang International Circuit here in Malaysia for the third round of the Asian Winter Series。各位观众大家好，那么即将进行的呢是亚洲冬季系列赛第3回合的比赛。我们现在呢是在马来西亚雪汪国际赛车场。And welcome back, and you can see all the cars are getting ready on the grid now, and the point leader Renault Vicky now is on the 5th position, but just behind him is Ye Yifei. He's 29 points behind the Renault Vicky, but he's on pole position today. It's going to be an interesting race today, and but before the race start, let's have a quick look of yesterday's highlight. 那么在我们呢现在可以看到呢，现在车们呢都在 get ready。在叶一飞呢现在是29分，落后于Renault VK。在比赛开始之前呢，首先让我们看一下之前比赛的 highlight。Next to me is the pole position, Ye Yifei. Let me ask him. So Ye Yifei, how will you approach this race with the championship is in the line?
Sorry, I can't really hear you with all the noise around.
How will you approach this race with your championship is in the line?
So yeah, I'll try to make a decent start and yeah, to get away from the rest of the pack, and hopefully I can bring home the victory safe and sound.
Hey, good luck with the race. 那么刚刚呢，我问到叶一飞呢，他就是这一场比赛的准备工作，因为他非常的接近这个全年的年度总冠军，那么他会怎么准备这场比赛？他提到呢，他就是会尽全力，能尽量拿到一个冠军，把这个全年的总冠军带给自己家乡的人民。
Hello and welcome to Sepang International Circuit in Malaysia for the third event of the maiden season of Asian Winter Series. You've seen Feline Wang down there on the grid, and she was with the man who's won 2 of the 6 races so far this season. Of course, French-based Chinese driver Ye Yifei, and what a fantastic job he has done so far this year. But of course, he's in the championship. This has been very much a 2-horse race this year. The man leading the championship, Dutchman Rinus VK. We've heard a bit from him across the course of the season. No doubt we'll hear more from him. Interestingly, the worst qualifying position for him so far this season. If we go through the qualifying order, and this has been very significant in the overall result. Rinus VK, round 1 qualified third, round 2 first, round 3 fourth, round 4 pole, round 5 pole, round 6 pole. So last time here at Sepang in Malaysia, it was only a month ago, he had a lockout of pole positions. Now he converted 2 of those to victories, but Ye Yifei, there he is on screen, the number 16 entry from Absolute Racing. He's taken 2 victories. Now, so far this season, we have each round is broken into 3 races, traditionally 2 on Saturday, 1 on Sunday. Now, Ye Yifei has won all of the races on the Sunday. Now, he's done that from, he started from position 2. He's been on the front row every time. This is his first pole position, but he started from position 2 so far in the previous 6 races. Very interesting. That could be significant in the overall result. Now, we've seen Rinus VK has started 4th and 3rd, so 2nd row. This is the first time he started from row number 3. So he has a lot of work ahead of him, but he has a comfortable buffer in this championship, 29 points. There is the number 17 entry. That is young Australian Jack Doohan. He is starting from position number 3, immediately behind Ye Yifei. Second is Shampiris. He had a great job, did a great job during qualifying. So the Absolute Racing team, who have a base here at Sepang International Circuit, they have taken a lockout off the front row. Now, what will they be able to do with that? It's going to be interesting to see how it all plays out. There is car number 1, Alessandro Goretti. French driver, 17 years of age. He is signed into the Sauber Junior team this year. He, of course, is the reigning F4 Southeast Asia champion. So he has good credentials, but importantly, he has good experience here. Now, a lot of these drivers already have experience from the previous round of the Asian Winter Series, so they will carry that across. But this time round, we have 6 new additions to the field. Victor Martins for Pinnacle Motorsport, Jack Doohan, the Australian, backed by Red Bull, High Tech Grand Prix, Joey Olders in the Black Arts Racing team, Christian Lundgaard, Pinnacle Motorsport. Now, Christian Lundgaard is also part of the Renault Sport Academy driver group, and so too is Victor Martins. Charles Leong is back in. We saw him for Asian fans of open wheel racing. We saw him during the F3 Asia Series this year. So it's good to see the Macanese driver back in with Black Arts Racing this time. He was with High Tech Grand Prix last time out. Miki Kiyama in the B-Max Racing team. She's a good addition to this field too, and she is a W Series candidate. They are going to campaign these cars in the all-female championship in Europe this year. So things are getting very interesting. We'll go through a little bit of action from the past as we get ready for a start. The crews are clearing the grid. 30 minutes is the race duration. This is race number 7 of 9, and we will conclude the maiden season of the Asian Winter Series tomorrow during tomorrow morning's 3rd race for this weekend. Getting ready to roll.
Ten,
9, 8,
7, 6, 5,
4, 3, 2, 1. Let's go.
Let's go indeed. Formation lap for race 7 of the 2019 Asian Winter Series, and we're really looking forward to this one. And for true fans of open wheel racing, this is the breeding ground of future stars. It'll be no surprise in seasons to come to see a number of the names in this field, of course, into categories like F2 and F1. Here is the starting grid. Yifei on pole, Ishan Peris, the Sri Lankan driver, alongside his Absolute Racing teammate. That is the front row. Row 2, Jack Doohan. There's that name. If you're interested in motorsport, it's synonymous with motorcycle racing. 5-time 500cc Grand Prix champion. Mick Doohan is, of course, Jack's father. Alessandro Gueretti for High-Tech Grand Prix alongside his teammate on the second row. And there is the championship points leader, Rinus VK, in the number 21 entry alongside Pavan Ravichandran for High-Tech Grand Prix. So rows 2 and 3 lockout for the High-Tech operation. Victor Martins for Pinnacle Motorsport, the colours of Renault, yellow and black. Akash Nandi, the local driver for Pinnacle Motorsport, alongside. Row number 5, Tomoki Takahashi and Joey Alders into the Black Arts team. The super licensed driver has been very good this season, learning his craft. Christian Lundgaard, the second of the young drivers from the Renault Sport Academy, alongside Charles Lyon. Miki Kiyama back in the BMAX Racing entry, position number 14 alongside teammates Rapio and Gucci. They have been a good addition to the field, certainly the BMAX operation of Dragon and Vivian Kiste. On row number 8, alongside Dragon himself, Odin Yoshida-san. And that is the starting grid for this race. So, 16 entries. There's a couple of names not in the field this weekend. Most notable of those, of course, is 2-time Macau Grand Prix champion Dan Ticktum, the young Red Bull driver, alongside David Schumacher, who, of course, drove during the course of this season with the Pinnacle Motorsport team. They are not here this weekend. They couldn't complete the full season of the Asian Winter Series due to commitments back in Europe ahead of their campaigns there. So certainly a lot of valuable miles, and one of the great benefits of the Asian Winter Series has been the opportunity for drivers to prepare for the coming season. And what better way to do it than in a Malaysian winter? We say Malaysian winter. Temperatures are getting to north of 20 degrees, humidity currently 80%. And coming out of an Australian summer, I have to tell you, there's not too much difference between that and where I am right now, except for the humidity to a point. So very much this is a great opportunity in a snow-capped northern winter. And this gives those drivers valuable opportunities. So keep an eye on left of screen is Ye Yifei. He set the pole time, 2 minutes dead, 8:17, alongside Ishan Peris, 2:01.305. Getting ready for a start. This is race 7 of 9. It'll be very interesting to see how this one plays out. Championship on the line. Keep a close eye in the number 21 entry from High-Tech Grand Prix, Rinus VK on the third row. He is left of screen, 3 cars back. Ye Yifei, when he started from positions like this, makes the most of it. He takes off from pole position. Didn't get the best of starts and really came under fire from Jack Doohan. Had to move to his right just to stop the young Australian from getting through. And I think Peris is going to have to drop back and concede that position to Doohan. Under brakes, it'll be a duel. And where is Rinus VK? Looks like he's gone to the outside. He'll have the inside for the run through turn 2. Looks like we're through cleanly. It's important to make sure no contact. That can bring your run short. Very squirrely on the exit of turn 2. That union section through turns 1, 2 really does mix things up. The super license entry further back. You can see that in the colours of red and white. But, big brake lock-up. That was the blue entry. That would be Peris, I would imagine, from the Absolute Racing team. Started on the front row, already back into position number 5. But Ye Yifei doing everything he needs to do at the front of the field. It's all down to Rinus VK. Now 25 points for the win. Currently, the championship advantage is 29 points in advantage to the High-Tech Grand Prix driver Rinus VK. So Ye Yifei knows he needs to make up a big ground. Now if he can keep this position, even if Rinus VK gets up to position number 2, he's gained 7 points, 25 for victory, 18 for second. So anything further than that, really for Ye Yifei, that is a bonus, and that will carry him through to the second race a little bit later today. Only 75 points left in it. That's a quite reasonable advantage. But for 4 wins, he's not been off the podium so far this year, Rinus VK. The first round, the very first race of the year at Chang International Circuit in Buriram in Thailand, a DNF for Ye Yifei, and that really has had a big impact on his championship when he is that far behind. He has been the star. It's been very much a 2-horse race, although mathematically, Alessandro Gueretti is still in with an option to come after this championship. Now, safety car is out. We saw a few brake lockups and a little bit of potential contact further back in the pack. So it'll be interesting to see as the timing monitor just clicks across. We've been a little bit void of that so far this lap. Certainly safety car. Yellow flag at turn 6. Now, turn 6 is the fast sweeping right-hander over the back of the circuit. There is runoff there, but there may well be a car embedded in the gravel trap. We'll see that shortly. Safety car onto the circuit. So that was one start underway. Of course, we will start line astern behind the safety car. Once it pulls off, the biggest indication of when we're likely to see a restart, depending on what has happened down at turn 6, to see which cars have disappeared. Now, so far, that is the number 28 entry and the number 7 entry, unfortunately, Vivian Kiste. So no further part for her in the number 16 entry. Sorry, the number 7 entry for the Black Arts Racing Team. Disappointment, the 28 entry for Yamaguchi-san for the BMAX Racing Team. So he too looks like that will be game over. No further than half the opening lap. There's no doubt the medical car going just to check that everybody is okay. That is part of procedure. So those cars will be recovered, but I fear this may well be a couple of laps behind safety car. You can see at the top centre of the screen, the clock is still ticking, so time will continue to click over. We'll be turning laps fairly slowly. We could lose about 6 or 7 minutes in all of this, and that will work in the favour of Ye Yifei. But currently, Jack Doohan in position number 2. Rinus VK up to position 3 already, 16 valuable championship points. But of his advantage of 29, it's now back to 20 points. So that is as things stand right now. The unfortunate thing for Ye Yifei, who got a very good start and opened up a quite comfortable lead, is that lead has been negated. So Alex Gueretti in position number 4, the young driver who advances to the Sauber Junior team this year. Victor Martins, who's one of 2 drivers from the Renault Sport Academy. He, alongside Christian Lundgaard, are making their debut. 2 of 6 drivers, rather, who are making their debut this European. Ishan Peres off position 2 in the second of the Absolute Racing entry, back to position number 6 behind Victor Martins. Pavan Ravenshankar is into position number 7. Akash Nandi position 8. Christian Lundgaard position 9. Tomoki Takahashi into position number 10. Joey Alders position 11. Charles Leong, the Macanese driver, on his return to open wheel competition after a run in the F3 Asia Series last year with High-Tech, is into position number 12. Sorry, I just got sidetracked there by a notification coming up explaining what was going on. Car 7 and 28 stopped on gravel at turn 6. Okay, we've picked that up, and from the timing monitor, they will be investigated post-race. Well, unfortunately for both of them, DNFing in the gravel is really going to have a big impact on their championship positions. Now, if we come back to championship positions, coming into this race, Rinus VK, High-Tech Grand Prix, 133 points by virtue of, 4 victories out of 6 races, and of that, there were 6 podiums. So that is a completed list. That's just what you want to see. We're talking about the safety car, or the course car, running around the circuit. It's got the lights on, so that's an indication at the moment we're not going to see a restart. Once those lights go off, you could prepare. Now, the driver's weaving. It's important to keep tyre temperature in these GT tyres, because GT are a big supporter of the Asian Winter Series. It's a harder compound tyre, which means you really need to work to keep the temperature in. Auto Technica, another of the partners, of course, working with the championship. All these Tardis F3 T318 chassis, around 650 kilos, including driver, minimum weight. Of course, they all started heavier than that with a bigger fuel load. The Alfa Romeo 4-cylinder 1750cc ATM AR F3 engine. So controlled formula, it's just what we need. I often find drivers that run these cars for the first time commenting that they're a big, heavy car. The tyres are hard to compound, take a while to bring up to temperature. So whilst you talk about the modern days of open wheel competition where, yes, they're a hard car to drive, but with things like power-assisted steering, ABS-style brakes, other driver aids that make the car a little bit easier to push to the limit, this is very much a driver's car. This is a seat-of-the-pants car. You need to build feel. You need to be very, very fit to run one of these cars. That's an important element in the training ground because this is one of the leading categories to boost into the higher formula internationally. So they make no excuses and no apologies, certainly, for the fact that this is a very physical car to drive. And drivers like Ye Fei, Jack Doohan, they're very small, they're almost jockeys. You could argue that they are piloting a car or they are riding a steed, and they need to be super fit to extract the maximum performance from these cars, and they have done so. There have been some notable exceptions that have come from a long off-season and winter break and jumped into one of these cars and gone, well, I'm just not physically ready to be able to push this car to its limits. Now, it appears that the course car lights may well be off whilst I've been prattling on, and it'd be nice to see action. We're here to go racing. We're not here to watch cars circulate. It's not a fashion display, even though some of the liveries on these cars and the beautiful lines of the Tata chassis are worth a close inspection. This is about serious competition. We want to go racing. We have a championship on the line. We have a lot of young stars. Jack Doohan, of course, Alex Gueretti, and of course Victor Martins and Christian Lundgaard. These are young drivers with a future ahead of them. All these drivers are trying to make an impression. Most of this field is teenagers. This is the breeding ground for the future, and every one of them is trying to make an impression. And for Asian fans, Ye Fei leading this field and being right in the hunt for this championship is one of the biggest things to come out of the Asian Winter Series this year, and we're all really looking forward to what he has to offer this year. He is away. You could see the approach of the car. He went back towards racing lines, dived down into the final corner. That, of course, is turn number 15 here at the 5.543 kilometre Sepang International Circuit, designed for Formula One. And this is definitely the breeding ground for that category. Where will these drivers go? Who knows? But let's watch this one unfold. We have 2/3 of this race to go. We have lost about 6 or 7 minutes behind the safety car. And now we are back under action. This is the time the action is going to happen. You're never going to see the cars closer than this outside of the start. Very deep into the opening corner. Maybe Joey Alder's further back in the field. But up front, Ye Fei needs to do all this work again. He's got 20 minutes ahead of him, and the experience that the French-based Chinese driver has, of course, he's run in F4 in Europe. He is the former champion of F4 in France, of course, has run Italy and France. And he's done a very good job each time he's got behind the wheel. He is a serious competitor. Now, the number 17 entry, Jack Doohan, has his teammate, Rinus VeeKay, behind. Now, what can he do about VeeKay? And what can VeeKay do about the man who is leading this field? He doesn't need to do anything dramatic. This is about winning a championship. He also knows that, so he doesn't want to do anything particularly dramatic. There's Gueretti. Oh, this is a great battle. So Victor Martins moving up under the rear wing. He's pushing hard again. These drivers are establishing a career. Every race is vital. They don't know who's watching. We welcome you around the world watching this online, as this is an important category worldwide. Apart from testing, there's not a lot of competition going on around the world. So you could well expect that all the talent scouts in the world are watching this unfold to see just how these drivers perform. It's how they perform on track. It's how they perform away from the track. Are they fit enough to extract the maximum performance from these Tata's cars? Let's see as this race unfolds. But Ye Fei, I'm having a quiet celebration here. He's opening that gap. Again, Rinus VeeKay doesn't need to do anything dramatic. He needs to finish this race. All this championship about, like any championship, is consistency. Consistently finish as high as you can. At the end of the year, you may not have had to win any races. You can win a championship. 2:01.5 last time round for Ye Fei. That's a pretty stout time straight after the safety car has come off. He's kept tyre temperature up in those GT control tyres, and he's managed to extract maximum performance. Big brake lock up a little bit further back in the pack. A little bit hard to see in the morning light as to which car that was. The 23 entry, Joey Alder's doing everything he can all over the back of Pavan Ravichandran. In fact, he's been a slight position change there too. So at the front of the field, Ye Fei doing everything he needs. 1.5 second lead over Jack Doohan. Behind Jack Doohan by 0.3 of a second is the championship points leader, Rinus VK. Goretti in position number 4. It's another 7/10 further back. Victor Martin still all over the rear of the driver in the number 1 high-tech Grand Prix entry. But up front, Absolute Racing, they have a base here. And for Fabian Fior and Ingo Mater, they will be loving every bit of this, because this just gives further justification to their profile in Asia as one of the leading teams in the world. Of course, spend a lot of time with GT and one mate categories. Certainly been big in the Blancpain GT Series Championship in this part of the world, which kicks off here in Malaysia in a couple of months' time. But certainly this is the open wheel formula. This is the breeding ground for future talent. A number of these drivers may not elect to go through to open wheel formula with their career, but certainly with the emergence of GT racing worldwide, there is a huge opportunity to turn this level of performance and competition into a career in motorsport. And all of them are pushing very, very hard to make an impression. And I want to make an impression that they're involved in too much incident either, so it's important to be very, very clean and very, very fast. Yi Fei, it's going to be interesting to see what this lap is like. His pole time was a 2:8:17. He did a 2:01.5 last time round. Hasn't pumped out too many purple sectors. Sector 2 last time round was quick. Crosses the line. How's that for consistency? 2:01.15. Jack Doohan now 2.5 seconds back. 2:02.1. Rinus VK 2:02.4. So he's dropped another couple of tenths. So he has Goretti not too far behind. And Victor Martin still pressing on in position number 5. Fellow front row starter, the Sri Lankan Ishan Pieris, is in position number 6. Akash Nandi, position 7. He's making a move forward. Joey Alders has dropped back past Pavel Ramchowka. We saw that in the early part of the last lap. 16.5 minutes to go in this race. Car 31 must respect track limits at turn 8. Turn 8 is a notorious one. Turn 7 and 8, very wide. It's a fast right-hander, a bit of a stop between 7 and 8. You can't carry too much speed through. If you do, you will go outside track limits. You do that too much, and you can end up with a post-race penalty. We've seen that so far in this championship, certainly at Chang International Circuit, with a lot of runoff. You can see the runoff here too. At Sepang International Circuit is very deep, so they really can push very, very hard. Tyre durability hasn't been an issue with the GT so far this year. It has been the ideal tyre for this development category, and it's great to see it coming into the Asian region. Of course, F3 Asia Series last year. This is the Asian Winter Series, and this is a great platform. The W Series will use similar cars. Much of the rest of the world will use similar cars in the development open wheel formula during the 2019 season. So what better way to get yourself fired up? There's Rinus VK still in position number 3. Behind his new teammate Jack Doohan for this weekend was Dan Ticktum, another Red Bull driver, another young Red Bull junior team entry. Dan Ticktum, who was alongside the high-tech team in the previous rounds, not here this weekend, like David Schumacher, nephew of Michael Schumacher, son of Ralph Schumacher, who of course has been with us for the first couple of events this year. They are back in Europe preparing for the season ahead. 2:01.2, so another 10th off. The lead now out to 3.3 seconds. How good is Yi Fei? We've seen him do this so far this season. Gets in front, extends his lead. He so far during the course of this year has been on the podium 5 times. He's had 2 wins. The opening round of the championship was the kicker. Unfortunately for him, he had a cooling issue which forced him into pit lane during the closing stages of the race and retirement. And DNF, when you're competing against some of the drivers of the calibre, certainly of Rinus VK and Pavan Ravinshaka, Alex Goretti and etc., Dan Ticktum, you can't afford to have a retirement, because that will have a big impact on your championship. And Yi Fei, this is fantastic, because so far the first event at Thailand, the second event here in Malaysia a month or so back, he has only won the last of the 3 races on a weekend. So this is a new foundation. This is a new Yi Fei. He knows what he needs to do this weekend, and what he needs to do is win every race. What Rinus VK needs to do, he's an experienced campaigner too. And of course, he has good credentials behind him. He's the Pro Mazda champion. I'll put my teeth in. The Pro Mazda champion from the USA last season. Experienced campaigner against some very, very talented drivers. He knows how to put a championship together, and he's done that so far. 6 races, 4 wins, 2 podium finishes. The worst he has finished so far this year is 3rd. That's how you string together a championship. He also knows mathematically he doesn't need to win any of the races this weekend, but he doesn't want to let Ye Yifei get too far ahead. And certainly if the Chinese driver manages to eke out a victory in every one of these races, that's 75 championship points. So for Rinus VK, he needs to make sure that there are no big dramas. The number 11 entry of Victor Martins on his debut here. He has dropped a little bit back from Alex Goretti now. It's not far. It's still close enough to be able to make that up as we get towards the closing stages. One of the things you talk about with an open wheel formula is, oh, we've got contact through the final corner. Now, that may well be Pavan Ravichenko. No. Okay, so that's the number 15 entry. That is Ishan Puris, who started from pole position. And that would be Akash Nandi. Unfortunately for the local driver, that's not what we want to see. The Pinnacle Motorsport entry, the blue, white and orange entry on the right. And that is likely game over. That would be potentially safety car. It says yellow flag at turn 15 right now. But that is a fairly tough area. Those boys have wound up in that part of the circuit. It's not to say that something like that won't happen. The drivers are meant to respect a yellow flag. There's certainly no overtaking, but also need to drop their speed back accordingly. Now, do we see a issue? We may get a replay on this. Look at top of screen. This is coming through turn 15 about now. Yeah, just a slight tap from Akash Nandi. Nowhere to go. Talking about open wheelers. I was just about to go into a bit of a diatribe about aerodynamics, but the other issue with an open wheel formula is just that. The wheels are exposed. That will be investigated after this race. Still yellow flag. Get back to the action shortly, but certainly Ye Yifei up to 3.9 seconds lead over Jack Doohan now. And still Rinus VK sitting comfortably in position number 3. Still just a yellow flag at turn 15. Fortunately, no sign of safety car. It's what you call a commentator's curse. I couldn't have timed that better. The second I've mentioned that, up comes the safety car sign, just to make me a normal human being and, of course, full of errors. Anyway, so we have 11 minutes 27 left on the clock. You can't get much more accurate than that. And unfortunately for Ishan Puris, it started so brilliantly for the Sri Lankan on the front row alongside his teammate. Hasn't ended so well. And sadly for him, contact with another former Absolute Racing entry in local star Akash Nandi, a driver with an awful lot of experience. It seems to me like he should be in his 30s, but we go into the age of the drivers. Akash Nandi's just 22 years of age. In fact, I won't talk too much about Yoshida-san and Yamaguchi-san, the 2 drivers for the BMAX Racing entry. There's an unwritten law that once you're over 30, you don't talk about numbers, unless, of course, it's Alex Young, and then you regularly bring up the fact that he is over 40. Sorry, Alex, if you're listening. A big part of Malaysian motorsport. He has really been one of the pioneers and a fantastic addition. Of course, still very, very heavily involved in the development of young drivers in this part of the world. His son won't be too far behind him, following in Dad's footsteps. But outside of that, the bulk of this field are teenagers. Goretti, 17. Ravichenko, 19. Vivian Kiste is 18. Victor Martins, 17. Ishan Puris, unfortunately, there he is walking away from his car, 19. Ye Yifei, 18. Jack Doohan, 16. Youngest in the field. Rinus VK is just 18 years of age, but already an accomplished driver. Joey Alders, 19. Akash Nandi is 22. He's a veteran very much. Tomoki Takahashi, 21. And Miki Kiyama, who is currently position number 11 in this field, also 21. Christian Lundgaard, 17. And Macau's Charles Leong, another driver who you'd expect, having seen him in this region for a while, is a little older. He's only 17 years of age. So very much a young development formula. Look at the top of the screen, about 6-7 cars back. And there's 4, 5 now. Watch. Top right of screen, there it is. That is the contact. And that's what happens. Unfortunately, not much then that Akash could do. He took a dive. You often see contact at that part of the circuit, the end of that long straight down from turn 14 to turn 15. Try to dive up the inside. Visibility, we talk about it in GT racing, but even in the modern open wheel cars, of course, the modern cars like this in open wheelers. Open wheelers obviously being the development formula up to F1. Wheels are exposed. That explains that, as opposed to saloon or GT cars, which have a roof over the top. They have the halo, many of the cars these days. That's a safety intervention. Doesn't really restrict your vision. What has a greater limitation on your vision is how low you sit in the car, which is better for the position of the driver's weight. And that allows the balance of the car to be better, because these are very much an engineered car. This is a purebred racing machine. So position of weight is vital. It's why you see sometimes some of the taller drivers do suffer a little bit. Their helmets can also block some of the air intake to the engine. That has a vital role. So they are very low in the car. The sides of the car are high. That has a lot to do with safety. You've got a Hans device, a head and neck system, which is a safety device to stop extension of the spine in relation to an impact. So that does have a little bit of an impact on your peripheral vision, turning your head left and right across very small mirrors, no more than about 3 inches wide. Okay, sorry, old school, 75 centimetres, 75 millimetres, 7.5 centimetres. If we bring it into a more modern language for people to understand, not much bigger than about 3 postage stamps, but that's probably like talking inches. Nobody uses stamps anymore. So not a lot of vision is the point of this discussion. If we go back to aerodynamics, which is what we were talking about before that incident, with under 8 minutes to go now on the clock, there'll only be a couple of laps left. Safety car lights still on as they clear up that incident down at turn 15. The aero does make a big difference, and for these drivers, one of the important issues, many of these drivers, young karting stars, certainly Jack Doohan is one of those, coming into these development formulas, is learning what they call wings and slicks. Wings being the aerodynamics, how that changes, because of course a go-kart's very much a chassis and tyres. Mechanical grip is an important lesson to learn there. It's adjusting the car to make sure the grip of a go-kart on a circuit is important. Racing lines are important, but now you're getting into something where speed is relative. When you look at the scale of a go-kart and a go-kart circuit, jumping into a car like the Tata chassis with the Alfa Romeo 1750cc turbo engine, probably not a big step up. Jumped into a WEC car, or certainly a Formula One car, it'd certainly open your eyes. But to jump in a car like this, scale perspective, not a big change. So the big thing is how much grip you have going into a corner. Mechanical grip will break away without that aero. The aero pushes the car to the ground. It allows you to go in deeper under brakes. It allows you to carry your speed through a corner. Certainly a Herman Tilke designed F1 circuit, just like Sepang International Circuit. This is about good mid-corner and high corner speed. There's a lot of testing corners to test specifically Formula One drivers. These are one of the pathway formula to F1. So these drivers can really learn from a circuit like this. As I say, lights off on safety car, that's important. These drivers, every lap is important. It's to make an impression. It's to make an impression not just on the race result and on a championship point score, but also on people watching just how these drivers perform, because this is vital experience. So you're learning that. You're also learning from the grip of a slick tyre. Of course, a go-kart tyre is also a slick tyre. These are big tyres. These cars don't have power steering. They're quite heavy. They're a very physical car. So even though these drivers might be built like jockeys, they do a lot of training, upper body strength, arms, shoulders, neck. Neck is a vital one. You'll often see pictures of drivers with big extended rubber bands doing neck exercises because of the G loadings on your head. Your head's quite heavy, but when you add 3 Gs into a corner as you carry the speed with this immense grip from the tyre and the aerodynamics into a corner, suddenly your head weighs 3 times as much. So that is a big impact, and neck muscles can have a big impact, because if you can't keep your head up right, suddenly you're dropping back down the order. Here we go again, getting ready to go. There's only a couple more laps in this. What can he do? Yayi Fei, what does Rinus VK have? Is he going to fire up the inside of Jack Doohan? Is there some team orders? Is Doohan going to do the thing that, well, many teams might arrange? You see it a lot in F1, move out of the way and let his teammate pass. He's not in this championship. This is his debut in the championship. And what Yayi Fei is doing here is he's breaking the slipstream. I was going to talk about dirty air. That is a big thing in open wheel formula, is once you're up close behind another car, it's often very difficult. Now, here's Rinus VK down the inside. He has to avoid contact with Jack Doohan. He's on the outside. Doohan may let him through, but I'm not so sure. The young Australian, he might not have much choice. Under fire too. Goretti is watching closely on. He could take advantage of this. He's in this championship too. He's watching all of this unfold. You can see he's moved to left of screen as they come down to turn 4. Is there an opportunity up the inside? Oh no! This has championship implications. Rinus VK. Goretti has made contact. The 2 high-tech Grand Prix drivers have made contact. What will that do to Rinus VK? What this will do for Yayi Fei is give him a prime opportunity. VK dropping back down the order. Victor Martins will take advantage of this. Jack Doohan, position 2. Martins up. Takahashi in the super license entry is up to, I expect, about position number 4. This has really suddenly got very, very interesting. All this great work that Rinus VK has done. He got involved in a fight. They ran wide on turn 4, almost inevitable. Unfortunately for Goretti, that will be game over for his championship. He was a long way back. You couldn't blame him for having a go. And one of those drivers he needed to battle in this championship was Rinus VK. And unfortunately for VK, he's a little bit further down the order. Let's just check where he's at. The timing monitor needs to refresh. Currently it says he's in position number 3. I don't believe he's in position number 3. I think he's in position 5. In fact, he's in position number 5. Yes, he is. So let's take a look at the replay. On the exit, they're side by side. Open wheel, remember, that's what happens when open wheel is hit. Now, I think the bodywork that came off may well have been Alessandro Goretti's car, so it may not have an impact on Rinus VK. One of those things, Rinus VK, getting too excited, sorry about that. But one of the things that these cars need to be very, very careful of is damage. No, it's not. It is damage to VK's car. You can see left side. Aerodynamics is vital on these cars. They only weigh about 650 kilos. So they are using a lot of downforce loading to keep the car on the circuit. That could have an impact on VK, who's back to position number 6 now. Now, incident involving car 1 and, of course, Goretti, car 21. Well, Goretti is car 1, of course, will be investigated after this race. So very much at the end of this race, it will be provisional. No doubt, Yayi Fei has an idea what's going on. He knows what he needs to do. He doesn't need to do anything dramatic. He can see that one of his title rivals is off the circuit. He may not know which one it is, but he's still punching out good laps. 2:01.7 last time round. So he has extended his lead 1.5 seconds. It got up to near 4 seconds before that second safety car intervention. So certainly that was an impact on his lead, but he has proven to be equal to the task. There's Victor Martins on his debut in this championship. So too Jack Doohan. Let's not forget the young man who is part of the Red Bull Junior team. He was in the F4 British Championship. He was the top rookie this year. He has been a winner in kart championships around the world, competed in the Supermasters Series overseas. Like his father, spent a little bit of time offshore out of Australia, but very much, like me, sorry for the assault on your hearing, very much Australian, very proud of it. 5-time 500cc Grand Prix world champion and very passionate about motorsport is Mick Doohan. Been involved in go-karting and a number of formula, very keen to see the emergence of young stars. And quite clearly, young Jack has the potential and he's showing that. He's just 1.5 seconds back from the leader on his debut in this car. Of course, Yayi Fei has had good experience in this car now, done a lot of testing too, and this really does open up the championship. Now, where is Rinus VK? So we go down the championship points, 25, 18, 16, 14, 12, 10. There is 15 points at the moment, advantage to Yayi Fei. Coming into this, it was 29. That means advantage is 14 points with 2 races left, 50 championship points still on the cards. Now, during those safety car intervention periods, we're talking about Rinus VK not having to do anything dramatic. In the incidents where he was involved in that contact with Goretti, he was very much defending his line. Unfortunately now, I think he's going to have to go from defence to attack the next 2 races because Yayi Fei has shown he is equal to the task. There's only 2 drivers who have won races so far in the 6 that have happened. This is the last lap. Without putting the commentator's curse on the Absolute Racing driver, he's still up by 1.5 seconds. This could be his 3rd victory of the year. Championship is blown wide open. It is now only a 2-horse race. Goretti is effectively, he's out of the race. He's out of the championship. There is still 50 points in, but he was 50 points back. In fact, he was 60 points back in the championship coming into this round to Rinus VK. So he's out. He's not going to be able to compete. So it is down to Rinus VK and Yayi Fei. And not surprisingly, those are the 2 drivers who have dominated this championship. Very wide. Victor Martins needs to be careful there. Grip levels, once you get a couple of wheels out onto the grass, can be a bit low, obviously. They're not tractors. These are purebred racing cars. And for the Asian Winter Series, we come down to just 1 more corner to go. And this will be game on for this championship. VK still back in position number 6. Car 17 and 21 and car 1 investigated after this race. So race results will be provisional, but you would expect there's no question about the top 3 in this race. Yayi Fei, position 1, comes to the line, checkered flag, and he is the victor. Third time this year, Jack Doohan across the line in position 2. Victor Martins on his debut, like Doohan, across the line in position 3. Great result for Tomoki Takahashi in the Super Licence entry across the line position 4. Christian Lundgaard, he is also part of the Renault Sport Academy series, and alongside Victor Martins on his debut. So that's 3 new drivers in the top 5. Renus VK across the line in position 6. Advantage Yayi Fei of 15 points in the affirmative for his championship tally. He couldn't have done any more, and unfortunately for Renus VK, very much caught up in defending his position, 3rd position over his high-tech GP teammate, Alex Gueretti. So that was tough. Only 11 cars to finish. Miki Kiyama on her debut, position number 10. Charles Leong in his return to open wheel racing, the man from Macau, racing this weekend. Charles Leong with the Black Arts Racing operation. He is in position number 9. Joey Alders, he finished for Black Arts Racing in position number 8, another of the rookies. Pavan Ravishankar is in position 7. And Moriyoshi Yoshida in the number 13 BMX Racing entry finishes in position 11, brings up rear of field. So 11 of the 16 cars finished this race. A lot of contact, 2 safety car interventions, and some question about that contact between Renus VK and Alessandro Gueretti, his teammate. 1st and 3rd in the championship. This is an interesting point. Let's see what the stewards make of that after the race. I think it was just pretty much not too much real estate left on the circuit, and the inevitable open wheel contact you see when these cars get close. We saw that unfortunately with Ishan Piras and Akash Nandi down at turn 15 for the 2nd safety car intervention. That did have an impact on their race. Once the wheels get stuck together, they're very much a magnet, then it launches cars into the air and can have a big impact. You've got to be careful, certainly with an open wheeler with all that exposed wishbone suspension. It's quite strong, but also very fragile. So banging wheels, we talk about it a lot in saloon cars, that's fine. The wheels are covered over. In open wheel racing, not so cool. So what a performance. 3rd win from 7 starts for Yayi Fei. He closes the gap down to about 16 points provisionally, 14 points provisionally as we head into race 8 and 9 of this championship season, the first for the Asian Winter Series. And it is very much game on and a lot of work for Renus VK to do. And this has been a great result for locally based Absolute Racing. Of course, they have a base in Zhuhai in China. That's where it all started, but another base here at Sepang in Malaysia. Beautiful Malaysia, very warm weather. We're into the low 30s now. Sun beating down, very high humidity, and a great result for Yayi Fei. This really is good for the championship. And I think probably fastest lap too for Yayi Fei, which gives him pole position again. 2:01.151. He set that up very early. In fact, I think that was the 2nd full lap. That will give him pole position for race number 2. Now, race number 2 comes this afternoon, local time, 1:05 p.m. Now, that's in about, it's 9:40 a.m. locally. So that's about 4 hours, 3.5 hours time. So we will hopefully see a quick chat with Yayi Fei after this race. That'll be great to watch. So here we go with the finishing result. Yayi Fei, Jack Doohan, Victor Martins, Tomoki Takahashi, Christian Lundgaard, Renus VK, Pavan Ravishankar, Joey Alders, Charles Leong and Miki Kiyama are your top 10. Let's get a copy of these results. Oh, no, it's already refreshed and game over for me. Too slow on the uptake. Well, it'll all be online. Keep up to date with the Asian Winter Series online, of course, multiple social platforms and website. You can search it all through Dr. Google. And we're going down to talk to Feline. She will be no doubt with race winner Ye Yifei.
Hi, Ye Yifei, congratulations. What a great win. And do you think the safety car sections makes this win easier?
I don't think it made my race easier because obviously I was much faster than others. So I had built up a good gap from the beginning, and then there was a safety car. Then I lost all my advantage. And then the safety car came in, so I could really push hard to get away from the rest of the pack, which I managed to do. And then just before the end, there was another safety car, which made the things a bit spicy, but I managed to hold on and bring home the victory.
Congratulations. 那刚刚我问到叶一飞呢，他这个一共因为本场比赛一共有3次的安全车的出动，那这样会不会让他的比赛就是拿到冠军会更顺利一点呢？他说其实并没有，因为他自己的速度很快，他已经拿到了很领先的优势。那因为安全车的出动呢，让他的领先优势失去了很多。所以说呢，其实但是呢，他还是最后在safety car 离开之后呢，还是有很好的就是启动，所以说呢，让他最后拿到了冠军。
Well, good point from Feline, just checking that, well, it may have been easier for Ye Yifei to have those safety car interventions, but as a racing driver, you want to be focused. You don't want to have to turn your brain back to going slow, not pushing things, keeping tyre temperature up. When you're racing at speed, you're focused 100% on the job ahead. So I can understand why he suggested that was not so easy. Well, the action continues. Be onto podium presentations very, very soon. But that is a great result for him. And unfortunately, the first setback in an otherwise perfect season for Rinus VK. There it is, Sepang International Circuit, former home of the Malaysian Formula One Grand Prix, and now very much the home for the Asian Winter Series.
Hi, Dan, Jack, congratulations. So what do you think about your today's performance?
Yeah, no, it wasn't too bad. I was struggling a little bit, didn't have the pace that Yiffy did, but yeah, he was just really quick. But in the end, we still ended up P2 for the first race here, so yeah, pretty happy. The team did an exceptional job, and we just need to try and find that extra bit for the next race, so hopefully we can bring the battle to Yiffy.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
刚刚我问到呢，他对今天的表现感觉怎么样？他也提到呢，他希望呢，他对自己的表现还是满意的。他一共拿到了第2名的好成绩，但是呢，他明天呢也会想办法超越叶一飞。
We've certainly had some rock stars in the championship this year. That was Jack Doohan talking to Feline with 5-time 500cc Grand Prix world champion Mick Doohan taking a happy snap on his mobile phone in the background. So, of course, we had Ralph Schumacher the first couple of rounds. David and Dan Ticktum not here this weekend due to their European commitments. Let's take a look back at how race number 7 of the season played out, and what a cracker it was. Unfortunately, safety car interventions, that did shut down the number of laps, but really, when it came down to it, Ye Yifei did just about everything he needed. Here we are off the start. He had to move across to close the door a little bit on Jack Doohan, and Rinus VK very, very quickly up to position number 3. Unfortunately, it didn't work out quite so well for front row start Isham Pires. He was back down the order quite quickly. And then we saw dramas further back, and that eliminated a couple of drivers, including, unfortunately, Vivian Kiste. And then it was on. The high-tech Grand Prix entries were in pursuit, but there wasn't a lot they could do about the young Chinese driver. He just put in a flawless performance, and he needed to. 29 points behind in the championship coming into this race. He needed to win. There was no other choice. And for Rinus VK, he had to do what he could to make sure he didn't let the Absolute Racing driver get too far ahead. Got up to 4 seconds or more before the second of the safety car interventions. Barbecuing a set of tyres, Jack Doohan, he was under a little bit of pressure from Rinus VK. But we'll look at the top right of screen now. And that, unfortunately, was Pires, the front row starter, and Akash Nandi, the local driver. He made contact. That was the second of the safety car interventions, and then this one. That left of screen was Alessandro Gueretti. The car on right of screen was championship points leader Rinus VK. That was almost inevitable contact in a situation when you have two open wheelers side by side battling for the same piece of real estate on a tight right-hand exit, or left-hand exit for that matter. They made contact, and unfortunately for Goretti, that was game over for not just this race, but also his championship. He was 60 points back with 75 on the board for this weekend. The big winner in all of this was Ye Fei, and he has closed that gap down provisionally to about 14 points as we go into the second race here at the second time around at Sepang International Circuit, 1:05 local time this afternoon, which is 9:45 now, so a couple of hours away. So keep tabs on things as they unfold. This has become vital. First glitch in an otherwise perfect season for Rinus VK. And for Davide Gobbi left the screen, the mastermind behind this championship. This has played out nicely. No one's dominating. It's now a two-horse race very much. And Ye Fei, that would be a dream result for Asian motorsport as we start to provide more drivers into the global family of motorsport competing at the very, very top. So a nice result for Ye Fei. A little bit of a quiet celebration from myself. We need to be a little bit of non-specific about who we support, but for the region and for Asian motorsport, of which Australia is very much a big part, this is a great result. So we will hopefully see the podium very, very soon. Proudly flying the colours of Malaysia. Proudly flying the colours again of China, his third win this year. Ye Fei, what a result. It's worthy celebration from around the region. Of course, based very much in France these days because he's making an assault on international competition. A lot harder to do. Doesn't matter whether you're Australian, American, Chinese, Malaysian. You really need to be in the world of motorsport and be right in the action. So left of screen, young Jack Doohan. Right of screen, Victor Martins. So what a good result. So only two drivers have won the 7 races so far. 4 wins to Rinus VK. This is his only glitch, an otherwise perfect season. He's seen 6 podium finishes from 6 starts. So the worst he's finished so far, though, is he finished 6th in that race. So that is tough for him. But unfortunately for Ye Fei, he was 29 points behind coming into this race purely because of the fact that he had a DNF in the opening round in Thailand due to a technical issue with the cooling. He was forced into pit lane and was very much playing catch-up football from that point on. But he can be very proud of his results. And for the Absolute Racing team, this is just further vindication for their profile as one of the leading teams in Asia, if not the leading team in Asia, along a variety of championships. So good result for him. And in the Masters competition, I've got to go back a little bit from memory. I would imagine that would be Nishida-san. Finished, I think, position number 11 in that race. Sorry about the thinking, because my timing monitor has gone. I'm feverishly trying to upload my screenshot, which only has, of course, the top 10. He will take top points for Masters. He has left a screen, the BMAX team boss. Big supporter of motorsport in this part of the world, the Japanese competitor. And it is champagne time. So make sure you stick with us because the action will continue. There's 2 more races this weekend. The next one's about 3 hours' time. We're heading very shortly to the press conference. We will hear from the 3 drivers that competed so well. Of course, Ye Fei, his 3rd win from 7 races this year, closes down provisionally. Of course, with all those contacts and investigations underway, we do not have an official result just yet, but should not affect the Chinese Drivers' Championship points tally. Rinus VK, it could have an impact on him. Let's hope he doesn't get any more penalty as a result of effectively the race creating a penalty for him and pushing him well down the order, back to position 6 after holding comfortably 3rd before that contact with Alessandro Goretti. Frustratingly for the high-tech team, They were teammates, both in the championship battle, but really for Goretti, he had to try something. He was a long way back, 60 points back, and he really did have to push hard. And unfortunately, that saw contact, the upside, or the downside rather, for Rinus VK was that pushed him back in the race and certainly back in championship points. So make sure you join us. Keep up to date with the social media platforms and the website. We will cross over to the press conference very, very soon.
Race 1. Congratulations to the overall top 3 finisher and the Masterclass winner. Starting with Yifei, congratulations, first place. Tell us about your restarts. You seem to be off quite quick. What was your secret?
Well, I'm just trying to use my experience to make a good restart and try to pull away from the safety car restart the very first moment, and I managed to do that twice. So yeah, it was a good race overall for me.
Very good. I believe you're now 12 points behind. Rinus had a small incident and dropped back to 6. Does that put a lot of pressure on you, or will it help you?
I think that will help me definitely, because yeah, with the DNF we had in the first round due to a technical issue that hurt us a lot, and now we are somehow back for the hunt in the championship, and we will be starting pole for the next 2 races, and I think so. Everything's looking very promising. We just make sure we keep working hard and keep the momentum going, and do the best we can for the upcoming 2 races and see what happens at the end.
All right, thank you very much. Jack, congratulations on your debut. Very impressive from the get-go, free practice all the way through. You've been pretty quick. Do you think there's some pace to be found and you can challenge for the top spot?
Yeah, definitely. Well, Yifei is very fast, so I think everyone has a bit of work to do. But no, I have some pretty quick teammates, so in there I think there's going to be a few tenths, if not more, within us all, just putting all our sectors together and trying to eliminate the lap like Yifei is. So yeah, we'll be working hard and trying to challenge Yifei for the final 2 races.
All right, one more question. How is the heat in the car treating you? Are you glad you're fit?
No, yeah, we've been trying to work on that over the summer. In Australia, I've been back for the past month and a bit, so it's pretty hot there. So just trying to get out in the sun and doing a bit of cardio. And so when I'm in here, it's like a breeze.
All right. Okay. Cool. Victor, congratulations on 3rd spot. Also your debut here in Asia, starting from 7th. Did you expect to end up on the podium?
Honestly, not. I didn't expect to come here and get a podium, honestly, for the first race. But we came here to learn the car and just to improve because I am in a different team in Europe, so we came here to work hard together and just getting some great feeling all together and come back to Europe to be really fast as ready as soon as possible. So I think it's a good point to be here and to get for the first race a podium.
Very well done. Thank you. Thank you very much.
Welcome.
Yoshida-san, tell us about your race, and also you've got a new female teammate. How does that help the team?
Thank you very much. Today, survival race. Yeah, so many happenings, accident in front of me, and then I feel a little bit afraid the race, and I'm first time with Haro. The Haro is a very なんていうのかな。Sorry.
No problem.
Yeah. Haro is very nice. Yeah. Today, track condition is quite different against the qualified. And then every driver block the brakes, sometimes spin. Yeah. And enjoy the race. Yeah.
Okay.
Today. Yeah.
Thank you very much. Any other questions? All right, group photo.
Wow, what an exciting race. But this is all for race 7. And later today, we still have race 8. So stay tuned with us. 刚刚呢，我们进行的是第7回合的比赛，今天下午还会有第8回合的比赛，请不要走开啊。